Hey there, Trisha Barber here today, and I'm going to show you how you can step up your stenciling by ink blending before adding your glimmer paste to a card panel. So we're going to start off today by ink blending some Distress Oxide ink and peacock feathers to this piece of aqua colored cardstock. I do have some pixie spray on the back of my stencil. I'm going to add it to or cover my card stock with it. And I am going to create a little hinge here so that I can pick it up and lay it back down if I need to. So we're going to use this ink blending brush, and I'm going to start blending on the peacock feathers. And I'm just going to blend it over the entire card panel using the Sunray stencil from Whimsy Stamps. And once I'm satisfied with my inking, I'll lift it up and wash my stencil before we start stenciling with the glimmer paste. I did need to spray my stencil again just to make sure that it adheres nicely to my card panel. I've got my ink blended panel and I've got a plain panel for you. I'm going to start off with the plain colored panel and use Nuvo Moonstone Glimmer Paste and a spatula to lay down that glimmer paste pretty evenly. This spatula works pretty well and it's very inexpensive. So I do adhere it down to my glass mat, and I have sprayed some pixie spray on the back of my stencil. It will help it to adhere down, but I am going to still use that hinge with my post-it tape and put that down as well. You'll see when I get done with this panel, I'll just lift it up and put my next panel in. The reason why I want to do the uninked panel first, because typically your glimmer paste will pull up or pick up that Distress Oxide ink because it is water-based. It will pick up and color your glimmer paste. So I'm going to do the uninked panel first, and then I'll do the inked panel next. So I'm just making sure I get it nice and evenly spread all over the front of that panel. And once I'm satisfied, I'm going to lift up that panel very carefully and remove that stenciled panel and set it aside to dry. Now I'm going to stick my ink panel underneath and line it back up with those rays. I might need to make a few adjustments. And in fact, I still had some of that glimmer paste underneath, and it got on the top of my cardstock, which I ended up trimming down. So now I'm adding the glimmer paste on top of the inked panel, and you'll notice when I start to lift the glimmer paste up off the stencil as I am smoothing it out, you'll see it's slightly tinted to blue. You can actually use ink to tint your glimmer paste if you'd like to. Just right there you can see it's slightly tinted blue, but I don't think this blue is going to be that difficult. I don't have much left in that container, so I'm just going to reuse that blue the next time I stencil. Okay, now you can see my panels are dry, and the one on the left has a much deeper color than the one on the right. Both perfectly fine, but the color is much deeper on the left-hand side. Here's an example of a card that I made where I ink blended on the panel using the stencil, but then used the glimmer paste over the entire card front. So for this, I did use the Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink to get that deeper color. So now we're going to turn these into a card. I'm pulling out some edger dies that I have from Whimsy Stamps along with the penguin poop stamp set. I've actually cut out all my images and stamped my images out that I'm going to use on the card. I'm going to use 2 penguins per card. With the paw and bone border die, I created like a snowy scape. And then with the grass and cloud edger die, I've got a snow panel that I created with the cloud die. I've stamped my sentiments from the penguin poop stamp on those 2 pieces of card stock that I've used to die cut. So I'm just going to do the same format for both cards. I'm going to layer my 2 die cuts and then color my penguins with my Copic markers. And then adhere them to the panels with some foam tape. So I'm just going to show you some quick Copic coloring next. I did really simple coloring. For the penguins' bellies, I am using Y00 and Y08. And I'm just going to color around their bellies to give them a little bit of color. And I just did really quick Copic coloring, not really trying to do something very precise, just quick coloring. And next I did the beaks, and I did use my 0 to kind of blend it out. Next up I did the beaks, which are, I'm using Y08 and YR04. These are two colors that are not ones that typically blend well together, but you actually can get a really cool blend by using the YR04 with the Y08. It gives you kind of like a, to me it gives some dimension to their beaks. And I just use the R04 on their little feet. Just did simple coloring, no shadowing or anything needed. Next, for the ice cream, I'm using RV21 and RV23. Again, just using and doing some quick Copic coloring. Just using two colors to blend. Nothing fancy, because these penguin are pretty straightforward. And I'll be using BG11 and BG32 next for the other ice cream that has the 3 scoops. And then I noticed I did miss that one in the back, but I used E50. So I used E50 E51 to color in the cone, and E57 to add a little shadow. I'm going to blend that back out with the E51. Then for their eyes, I am going to add a little BG 000 to their eyes just to make them pop a little bit. And that's it for the Copic coloring. Pretty sweet and simple. So now let's just assemble our cards. I've adhered the panels down with some liquid adhesive and just popped up the greetings on top of the card panels. And now I'm just popping up my penguins so that they're popping up and giving it a little bit of dimension. Nothing fancy, but just quick and simple card making. Especially love this when you're trying to make multiples. It makes it so easy to make a few cards to knock out, like maybe for your birthday stash. So once I adhere these down, that's it. I added a little bit of shimmer using my Spectrum Noir Shimmer Crystal Clear pen, and then that's it. I've got 2 cute little penguin birthday cards ready to go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that I've inspired you, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.